It's the final regular season edition of Opening the Door. It's matchup number 44 of the 2022 No, I don't like that one. Do it quicker. It's okay, just keep going. 3, 2, 1. It's the final regular season edition of Opening the Door as the Cotuit Commodores and the Falmouth Commodores will square off right here at Gov Fuller Field for the 6th and final time this season. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Opening the Door alongside Carter Bainbridge, Logan Soforenko. And Carter, let's jump right into things. The Falmouth Commodores and the Cotuit Commodores have squared off 5 times coming into today. The Commodores lead the season series by a record of 3-1-1, and they've clinched that series, but they don't want to limp into the playoffs today.
No, definitely not. I mean, things are far from settled in the Western Division right now, but the Dores are trying to finish out their season on a good note. They had a win last night at Spillane Field against the Wareham Gatemen by a score of 5-2. Pretty solid all-around game that ended up not meaning all that much in the playoff race, but the Dores are trying to take some wind out of the Ket's sails today because, again, this is a rivalry game. These two teams have been playing each other for a long time, and it always means just a little bit more when they play each other. The last game between these two teams last season was a 10-run blowout. The Cats just took the Dores to the cleaners. So if that game is in any of these Dores' minds today, they want to try to get a little bit of revenge today, already with the season series in hand, but finish out the regular season strong with the Cavaliers having a game tomorrow as well.
Yeah, the Falmouth Commodores cannot move up in the standings. They have the 4 seed locked in the 2022 CCBL playoffs. But Carter, you talked about the game tomorrow because the Cotuit Commodores and the Bourne Braves were supposed to play yesterday, but that game got rained out, and that's pretty big for their standings because they're currently tied, and they both have first place on their mind.
Yeah, we don't really know what's going to happen with the top 3 seeds in the playoffs right now, and I don't think we can know until all the games are finished tomorrow. There were a couple games around the Cape that were rained out yesterday. Chatham and YD were some unlucky ones out in the Eastern Division, but that Cotuit-Bourne game is going to go a huge way in deciding who's the number 1, 2, and 3 seeds in the West. The only spot that's locked up so far is the one the Dores have at number 4. So Bourne and Cotuit, a lot to play for today. You imagine the Cats have a little bit more on the line today than does Falmouth, but can't let that take away from what is a pretty big rivalry game after all.
And especially with the Cotuit Commodores losing a vast majority, if not their entire starting lineup to the MLB draft, but they seem to gather guys that can put them into the contention race because Tommy Troy, Carter Trice, you got Caleb Ketchup, CJ Kafis, they have all been playing fantastic baseball, but the Falmouth Commodores, they have some sluggers as right now Colby Halter is sitting atop of the Cape League in home runs by himself because the Cotuit Commodores have released Tyler Johnson, so the Commodores are going to have to rely on their offense, not just today, but for the playoffs.
Yeah, it seems like every single time we play the Cavaliers, they have a completely different team taking the field. No team in the CCBL this season has made more roster changes than Cotuit. They had a lot of guys get drafted. They've gone through a whole lot of players this year, but it's just a testament to their talent retention, their scouting, and manager Mike Roberts to keep putting a team on the field that has continued to play pretty solid ball. The Cats got off to a very hot start this season. They've kind of been treading water since then, but they've clinched a playoff spot, and that's really all they set out to do. So today, the Dores will have to rely on their bats because these are two top 5 offenses in the Cape League.
Now, Joshua Burge is going to be on the starting bump for the Falmouth Commodores, but the Cotuit Commodores, you wonder if they have their ace going tonight because they have something to play for. So walk us through the pitching matchup tonight.
Joshua Burge, right-hander for Falmouth, is the Dore starting pitcher today, making another start on the summer. His ERA coming into today is just a shade over 5.5, and the problem for Josh so far has been that one big inning. In each of his last 3 starts, he's had an inning where he's given up 3 runs. Did it against Brewster, did it against YD, and did it in his last start against the Chatham Anglers. So for Burge today, it's just a matter of slowing down the pace a little bit, working under control, and trying to prevent big damage when things start going a little bit wrong because he's going to give up his base runners today. It's just a matter of how he's able to keep himself under control when that does happen. And on the other side, for Cotuit, it's Joe Whitman, who hasn't made a lot of starts this summer, only 1 to his credit so far. It was exactly a week ago today. He's a recent addition to this Cotuit roster since coming over from Purdue, where he pitched for the Boilermakers in 8 games, none in starts. His 1 start this summer was only in 2 innings as well. He gave up only 1 earned run against the Anglers, so not much of a book on him, but this is the season finale in any event, and there's 2 guys on the mound who have some different stories coming into today.
Well, the story is the last time Josh Roberge was on the mound, it wasn't pretty. It was a 6-0 defeat to the Chatham Manglers. But the Falmouth Commodores are going to see Enrique Bradfield Jr. for the first time today, and he finished this season at Vanderbilt perfect for stolen base attempts.
That's right. Bradfield was a guy who we looked at before the season and prepped on because he was on Cotuit's original roster, and we didn't expect that he would ever show up. But after a spectacular season at Vanderbilt, Bradfield is now here. He finished up this past spring 46 for 46 in stolen bases. He was never caught, and so far this summer with the Cavaliers, in limited time, he's 2 for 2. So he is a very difficult, near impossible guy to throw out on the base paths. We're trying to see if he's in the lineup today. It'll be a pretty entertaining matchup between him and whoever the Dores have behind the plate if he does play today.
Well, the Falmouth Commodores will take on the Cotuit Cavaliers at 6 p.m. And Carter, we always talk about Trey's takes, and we got to go to Carter's keys. What are the keys for today's game? It's obviously not one that means anything in the standings, but like I said earlier in this part of opening the door, you don't want to limp into the playoffs.
Well, for the Dores, it's to get more solid pitching, especially after what they had last night against the Wareham Gatemen. We know Wareham hasn't fared all that well lately, but the Dores got good work from their pitching staff last night, starting with Philip Abner. Braden Matthews had a good outing in that game, and all around, the Dores pretty much suffocated the Gatemen offense. So for today, against a taller task in the Cotuit order that features guys like you said, Tommy Troy, Enrique Bradfield, Caleb Ketchup, guys who can swing the bat very well, it's time for Josh Roberge to put together a start like he did his first one of the summer when he pitched 4 innings of 1-run ball against the YD Red Sox. That means maybe slowing down the pace, keeping himself under control, making sure he locates his pitches, because he's going to have to do it against a Cavaliers team that can hit for power and that can run. So, tall order for him today on the mound.
Well, the Falmouth Commodores are glad to be back home. They were in a very rainy game last night against the Wareham Gatemen, but first pitch coming at 6 p.m. It's the final game of the regular season. You can tune into the Falmouth Commodore YouTube channel, where Trey Redfield will be on the play-by-play. Carter Bainbridge will be on the color. I'll be handling field reporter duties today for a 6 p.m. first pitch. This has been the final regular season edition of Opening the Door. We'll see you soon.